This is for bestrevenuewriter.com. I'm going to be taking you through a quick little experiment. Unfortunately, the app that I'm using, YouNow, doesn't allow you screen record. We're going to go live, see what happens with some free advice. I expect there's going to be some things that you would expect from the internet. I think it's important just to get the feel of it. Going into the app experience in itself, it was valuable just to see how you can engage in real time. And then the technical aspects, do I bring in a microphone? Am I supposed to have a certain setting? People are going to let me know and have a follow-up update. This will also be on the Revenue Writers podcast. I'm going to log in now, see what happens. This is the sign. Okay, so just as a quick update, following up on the live streaming, is incredibly interesting, and I totally get why it's so powerful now. It's not the first time that I've done this, but it was the first time that I really relaxed, sat down, and interacted. Most of the time, it's been giving a speech of some sort. There was a lot of interaction. I get why those rules are set in place. It's always different when you read about something, you kind of get the rules and the lay of the land, and then you actually go and do it. So it'd be a lot like reading about skydiving, knowing the rules, but taking that leap outside of it. Advice that I remembered from before, since it's been a little bit, but I can't stress this enough, is make sure that you have some sort of material, a backup plan, something to kind of get out of the dead silence. Be surprised about how many people will join on in a rapid pace, and you have very little amount of time to capture their attention. So your nonverbal is going to be massive. People will come in at random times and they won't know the context of your conversation. So you constantly have to go back to catch people up so that they're engaged in the story that you're telling. A lot of that is that interaction aspect. The other thing is that I guess I didn't learn from last time that I learned this time, a new lesson, was that it's okay to calm yourself down, slow it down a little bit. I guess maybe I can kind of understand it because the viewer understands more than you think they would. A court jester, that you're not there to be juggling balls 24/7. They're okay with relaxing and just even putting up with the dead space for a little bit, interacting with you. There was some pockets of dead space, but here's the thing, it wasn't awkward. Not for myself nor the viewer. There's unwritten rules that they understand where that's expected. That's the rawness, the authentic part of it that you don't really get from something like this. On video here, I'm giving you everything I can to condense in a short amount of time. But on the live stream, it's like hanging out with somebody in a living room. It's part of it, and it's only awkward if you make it that way. Since they have the luxury of not being on camera, it was a little surprising to me anyways, to see how many people were still rolling in, staying, and the retention when there were times where it almost just felt like you're just being looked at. Even going on other people's streams as well, this seems to be a reoccurring thing. More experienced live streamers seem natural, relaxed state about them. That's the part where talking about on-camera nerves, I can't really be the best person to give advice about that, because speaking for a long time, I've been thrown into so many different embarrassing situations. Had to meet people every single year, 10 schools throughout my lifetime. So that shame or just being comfortable with being in front of people, it's been something I've done since I was very little. So that's not something that really affects me. Could see though, from the perspective of somebody else, how that could get nerve-wracking, because there's a lot of uncertainty, which is the next point, is you'll get questions. Oftentimes, the same questions repeated, and you have to understand that as the person hosting the stream, because you're going to understand that people are just joining in and they're not going to scroll up. Comments come in so quickly that by the time that you're even answering that question, you might have just answered it and you get the same question asked. They haven't had the time to see that you have already answered it. People kind of get that. There's more of a community feel. The intimacy, that's the one recurring theme I kept thinking about. One-to-one you can get with so many different people at once, because you can call somebody out, almost like public speaking when you go up to a live audience member. The difference really though is the fact that they're hidden. That does in-person speaking and has done many of them, that was the toughest part, is because you can't really make that one-to-one connection like that. You kind of have to feel the vibe just by the overall feedback that you're getting and to your response. I would highly recommend having a comfortable grasp on your story, how you want to introduce yourself in a very quick way. A lot of people, naturally, people want to know more about you, your story, why you're doing this. Happily sit there and listen to it, as long as you're interacting, not making this just some sideshow. You got to have your point ready to go. The longer that it went on, the more that it rolled in. Because I was a bit short on time, I was able to gain a rapid audience pretty quickly, and that was my goal, was just whoever spoke to me, I was going to respond in kind, with thought. That seemed to be the key. The more that I did that, the more that there was that interpersonal relationship and energy answer to those questions that you would see became a fan. People would start following you at that sense. That was the main thing that I learned. I see 100% why this is so powerful. This is definitely something putting resources into, figuring out the code for B2B. Especially when you're not entirely too sure, infancy stage, people are going to react to businesses, or if you're promoting a business, I guess the point is not to promote the business, but show the people behind it and be ready to handle all the challenges. A lot of lessons just by throwing myself in there. Like I said, there wasn't really a game plan in the sense that I had an outline, which I have in the past on this channel, on Spotify and the Revenue Writers podcast, have promoted and said, hey, have a backup plan. I just wanted to throw myself in the den. I figure pick up some lessons, learn as I go. I would say, again, that is advice that I've given. Just throw yourself out there. 100% confident that the longer that it went on, the more involved things could have been. It could have got, by the minute, it was increasing. It was almost exponential. Whereas I thought, hey, since I'm completely new, this is my second stream on this particular platform, it's going to be few and far between. I'll be lucky to just have a campfire type of setting. It ended up at some point 600 people. I was expecting maybe 10, and there's about 600 people. So see why it's so powerful. I would highly recommend that this is something that you at least look into, see if it works for you. I can see why this is going to be the new wave. That's my feedback on that. Now, since that was more of the personal side of things, which I think is important to get how it's going to apply to business, finding the tactics and the creativity and the innovation to pull from the personal side to where it's a business audience. There's a lot of transferable skills. Definitely look into it. I can say that throwing yourself in is the best way. People are more forgiving than you think they would be, and there's a ton of room for growth. Innovation for the business side of things is going to be exciting. We'll see you next time.